Okay, friends. So today we have Krishna all the way from Germany. And the good thing about it, I was like interviewing the youngest Scrum Master, honestly, guys, because he's just done his master's in Germany and now he's working as a Scrum Master with Siemens Healthineers. And recently he cleared one of the round, Scrum Master round for one of the giant in Germany. So he's definitely going to join that company very soon. So it's a privilege to have you in our show, Krishna. Thanks for giving your time.
Yeah, thank you, Sunand. I would like to first thank you, Career Talk, and Sunand especially. Your videos and YouTube videos and the WhatsApp group helped me a lot actually. And most of the videos I followed it and had made my notes on that videos, and it helped me a lot to complete my interview, to successfully complete my interviews. Yeah.
Great, great, Krishna. Good to know that.
Thank you.
Great. So before we start with our interview questions and answers, why don't you tell us about yourself, like how you landed in Germany, and it's a kind of story altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true actually. Sometimes when I look back, I was little bit surprised with myself, like how I landed in Germany. So it all started in way back in 2017. I had my bachelor's degrees in 2013 in electronics and communication. Then I worked in Accenture as a business analyst for almost 3.5 years in Bangalore. So I just wanted to explore my knowledge. I just wanted to move into the management part. I just wanted to choose my masters, and I felt Germany is the best option for that. So I had enrolled in software engineering for industrial applications in 2017. And it's like a 2-year course, and it's in 1 year of no, classroom course and 1 year of mandatory internship we have to do. So till 2018, I had done my classroom course, and from 2018 to 2019, I did my 1 year of mandatory internship in German companies. Yeah. So as soon as I completed my masters, I landed up in Siemens Healthineers as a Scrum Master. Yeah. Yeah. Like I could say, like it's like quite a long journey, but it's not that easy. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Okay. So shall we start our session?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So as you already mentioned about yourself, so why did you choose to be a Scrum Master?
Yes, Agile and Scrum are both team ideals actually. I would say they both are like team-centered jobs. Like I would say, the working as a Scrum Master is a team-centered job. I always wanted to work in team-centered environment. Like my strengths are like observing the people, observing the team strengths, and observing the people's ideologies and methodologies and attitudes, and like mentoring them or coaching them. So right from beginning, when I was working as a business analyst, this quality I realized from me, and then I wanted to make my career in that way. So I choose to be a Scrum Master because I like to actually observe and coach or mentor that team. Yeah. That's the prime reason, one of the prime reason. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. And if I'm going to ask you like one quality which you don't like about being a Scrum Master, it's a little tricky one.
Yes, that's a tricky part actually. uh, So to start with, to be honest, like to be a Scrum Master, we need to have a lot of other qualities, and with one of these quality which I don't like, I would say like we need to attend a lot of meetings. A lot of meetings. Right from beginning, right, like your day starts with meeting and day ends with the meeting. So I would say that's one of these quality I don't like to be in the Scrum Master. Yeah, but it's like it's a part of the job, but we can't do anything with that. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So the next question is more on a Scrum Master. So what do you think? Like, should a Scrum Master remove impediments on behalf of the Scrum team, or what is your
Yeah.
thought on that?
Like I said, like as part of my organization, we have like two types of impediments we follow here. One is like team impediment, and one is like global impediment. uh, team impediment is like something like team can be resolved by themselves, and global impediment is something like a team can't be resolved by themselves, and some external force like Scrum Master has to involve in it and has to resolve it. So for example, I would like to tell you one small team impediment which uh, like as part of my team and organization, there are some documents missing. There will be workflow documents in which the teams need to be performed certain work. Then there might be some document missing for that. So in that case, team comes up to me and asks me like whether tells me that whether the document is missing. So in that case, I would like to ask the team, it's a team themselves to perform, to execute, to create their own document, to come up with a workflow. So this is what I follow with the team impediments. I generally don't resolve the team impediments. I ask my team itself to resolve it, and I act like a mentor. I mean, to facilitator for that impediment, actually, for the team impediment. So other than the team impediments, we have something like global impediments, which cannot be resolved by the team itself. So this can be handled by me as well, by me only. For example, of a global impediment, there might be a new technology coming up with the team, and team has to learn about it. So in that case, team has to need to have some trainings for that. So in that case, they'll be coming up to me and ask me there's like technical differences or technical gap for that project. So I would like to handle that team impediment, take that issue with the higher management and get this trainings for the team. So yeah, so like I said, there will be two types of impediments.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you communicate with your product owner?
Yeah, so communicating with the product owner actually is a main part in the Scrum team, actually, because the Scrum Master and the product owner are the two main pillars of a Scrum of any Scrum team. And to be precise, like we need to be very honest and open with the product owner, like getting the feedback from the product owner, or giving the feedback to the product owner should be very honest, and it should be very open. In vice versa, it should be happen from the product owner also, the same way to the Scrum Master. So like I said, like it should be very honest and it should be very open. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think? Is it better to involve a Scrum Master in a product discovery process or phase?
Yeah. um, I often feel it's not Scrum Master. It should be a whole Scrum team to be involved in the product discovery process. Like if you look into this product discovery process, like it's always better to involve the team which is going to work in the early discovery process, to make sure the product discovery process and the transition process to be smooth. Like now, whenever the team is working on the certain user stories, they'll be having some certain doubts which has to be clarified by product owner. So when you involve your when you involve your Scrum team in your early discovery process, so this risk mitigation will be very less, actually. So it will be, risk will be very less, and they'll be knowing what exactly to be done, what exactly not to be done, without any external help. So I would say to involve all the Scrum team in the early discovery process is an efficient way uh, for the customers and stakeholders also. Yeah.
Okay, good. And what about coaching a stakeholder with a non-IT background? Did you
Yeah.
face some similar kind of situation in the past?
Yes, I mean, there are some stakeholders which they don't have any IT background. They just deal with the business part. I mean, sometimes it's very difficult to deal with those type of customers and stakeholders. In that case, those non-IT customers, especially, they deal with the figures and numbers. I mean, they just wanted to get the business done. I mean, they're not worried about the technologies, or they're not worried about the process we follow. So in that case, you need to deal with them with the figures only. I mean, we have to present them with the uh, figures before implementing the Scrum or after implementing the Scrum. So you need to make sure show them the difference. I mean, how the team has evolved using the Scrum or before using the Scrum, like how the team used to struggle. And there's something called like Scrum ceremony sprint review, involving the stakeholders in the sprint review meetings. Actually helps the stakeholders to get some trust on the team. So all these things will actually help stakeholders to gain the trust among the Scrum team. Yeah.
Okay. Do you also use some matrices in front of these stakeholders when you say about numbers and all?
Yeah, like we do this like normal whenever we have Jira boards, and Microsoft Azure for the other projects, and we do this sprint backlog reports, and product backlog reports, and burn down charts and burn up charts. So we do show these basic reports which will be easy for them to understand. Like if we show the complicated reports for the stakeholders, and they're definitely going to be a little bit complicated for them. So we just show them the basic reports, like the basic figures, like what exactly that happened in the Scrum past sprint. Yeah.
Good, good. And according to you, who should be writing the user stories?
Yes, I mean, according to me, like the whole Scrum team has to be involved in writing the user stories. Like often it's a misconception that product owner should write the Scrum user story, but in our case, like we as a team, collaborative. It's a collaborative effect from the entire team, like product owners, Scrum team, architecture, testers, DevOps engineer. Everyone has to be involved in writing the user stories. At the end, like it's the whole team who has to be who has to work in a similar product goal. So I feel like it's a complete team collaborative effort. Yeah.
Okay, good. And how do you define a good user story and its value according to you?
Yeah. So according to me, writing a good user story needs to have some acceptance criteria to start with, and there is something like we follow called invest criteria, like independent, negotiable, estimable, small, and time. So like we follow all these criterias, and well, according to me, sometimes user story can't be independent. Like when you're working in the safe, especially in the safe environment, the user story can't be independent. It's definitely will be the dependent on some other user stories or some other requirements. Yeah. So so normally we follow this invest criteria, and uh, uh, based on the value, like I would say the amount of business value it is creating, we estimate the value of a user story. Like sometimes all the user stories, most of the user stories should have some business value, should increase their business value, or their signups for their product. It should be in that case. Yeah. In that way it should be. Yeah.
Okay. And why don't we estimate in-person hours in place of story points?
Yeah. So this is like an actually tricky part. Like from like, even when I joined, even I was wondering, like normally in like normal methodologies, like we use in estimate person hours, but I was wondering like why is this story points. Like slowly when I was working in the team, then I slowly understand what is importance of this story point. Like whenever there is a legacy code which was actually built using this person hours in work in the legacy code, it's not good idea actually. And whenever there are some junior team members, like whenever the new team members are introduced into your team, using this person hours is actually not recommended, because the technical differences between the junior team members and the senior team members will be high. So it's always good idea to start to estimate in story points instead of the person hours, like because some junior, the same tasks the junior might take in 10 to 12 hours, and the senior member can be finished in 3 to 4 hours. So to bridge that gap, but to fill this gap, we need to I actually suggest to follow this story point estimation. And Sunan, if you feel any improvement for this answer, you can tell me. Yeah.
Okay, Krishna. So the next one is about, yeah, the most asked question, like as a Scrum Master, what is your contribution in each of the Scrum events? So could you please throw some light on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as a Scrum Master, we always know. I mean, you always know that like we have these four standard ceremonies and one activity we follow for the entire sprint. Like to start with, I'll begin with the sprint planning meeting. Like, what is my role and roles and responsibilities, and my experiences in sprint planning meeting. Yeah, to start with, like as a Scrum Master, I have to facilitate the sprint planning meeting and make sure it has to yield within a productive it has to be productive and answer certain basic questions. Like for example, we actually, to start with the sprint planning meeting, we basically answer three questions, like what is the purpose of the sprint planning meeting, and why actually we are doing this sprint, and how are we going to do it. Like to get the three answers, as a Scrum Master, I make sure at the end of the sprint planning, all these three questions has been answered. uh, like like in as in Germany, the stakeholders are like will be a little bit direct towards you, and they'll ask you everything direct, and they'll give you their feedback very direct. I mean, there are no filters for them. So sometimes it's very difficult for me, I mean, to like my upbringing, my isn't totally different, and it's very difficult for me to cope up with them sometimes. Like so I had to do a lot of homework before doing this sprint planning actually. And like I said, like these are the basic things I do, these things I do in the sprint planning meeting. And after that, we have this daily scrum. And as a scrum master, it's not required to be in the sprint daily scrum meeting, but I make sure it's done properly. I mean, it's they are doing it every day, and everyone is following the daily scrum, and I make sure the three questions are actually answered, like what exactly they had done, and what exactly they're going to do, and are there any impediments. And if there are any impediments, I'll ask my team to raise their flag, and ask in the I mean the middle of in the middle of the daily scrum actually. Yeah. So so overall, I'll facilitate this daily scrum meeting, and make sure it all these scrum ceremonies are time boxed, especially. And the last thing is like third thing is a sprint review. And the most important part, like after working so much hard for almost 10 days or 9 days, the sprint review meeting with the stakeholders is like an important scrum ceremony. The scrum master, I make sure, again, I make sure I facilitate, and I make sure it has to be very productive. And sometimes I guard my team members uh, before the stakeholders. Sometimes stakeholders has a little bit expectations, other expectations are over expectations, other than the sprint goal. I make sure I grounded them and make sure tell them this is what we agreed on the sprint goal. And I tell my stakeholders like this is what we agreed, and this is what we are going to. Yeah, sometimes it happens, like sometimes the sprint review is will be disaster sometimes. Like at that time, like I need to manage my team, and I need to motivate my team also. And at the same time, I need to answer my stakeholders why this sprint went wrong, and what exactly we are going to do for the next sprint review. So in that case, I need to be very balanced in sprint review meeting, especially. So balancing both my scrum team and stakeholders. Yeah. So the last part, like scrum retrospective, for me this is the most interesting ceremony for me. As in scrum master, like you have a lot of things to do in the scrum retrospective actually. You have an you have to use all your experience or all your feedback, and completely on this sprint retrospective. And as a scrum master, I wanted to be very innovative. I wanted to be uh, innovative here in sprint retrospective. I wanted to not to repeat on the same retrospective item every time. I wanted to give team new experience every time, instead of making them feel bored, making them like why they are thinking, giving them the perfect feedback, and getting all the answers, and making the whole environment very like cool and very vibrant. So make sure the team is ready for the next sprint. In the sprint retrospective, I make sure the team is ready for the next sprint. And uh, that's like basically I this is what I do. And like I said, like we have an ongoing activity like called backlog refinement. Like in this, we do this backlog refinement process along with the product owner, and make sure all these user stories are estimable, and all these having this perfectly breaked into the specific task. Like I make sure all these happen in all these certain ceremonies. Yeah.
Great, Krishna. You have perfectly explained each and everything. So really good. Okay,
Thank-
good. And the next question is, as you mentioned, a lot of things about retrospective. So what is the most effective retrospective in your experience and why?
Like I said, I mean, totally very young Scrum Master. So my experience with the Red in retrospective, like I always wanted to go some innovative retrospectives. Like sometimes team is also not willing to accept it actually, because every time when I go to the sprint retrospective, they see a different board, and they ask me what is it, like, is this even exist, this sprint retrospective? I mean, there are a lot of retrospectives I follow. I mean, but at the end, like I like 4L. I mean, liked, lagged, 4L method, like which will cover all the aspects actually, like which is lagged and which is lagged and which is long. So for me, this will cover entire aspects of your last sprint item. Like so for me always, like, it's a favorite, but still I'm always open, like I always wanted to try very different methods. Yeah.
Okay, and we have covered this 4L in our previous
Yes,
session.
yes, yeah, I had seen that actually. It's quite an interactive session with the team members. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, and how do you deal with the team members who are cherry picking? I mean,
Yeah. Yes, I mean, cherry picking is sometimes it's acceptable, and sometimes it's not acceptable, I would say. It all depends on the team hierarchical structure, like I said. Sometimes architectures, and there are some architectures, and there are some UI designers, and there are some testers in the team. So sometimes if they wanted to, sometimes UI designer can't perform the development. So it's sometimes it's okay to cherry pick his own user story item. And other than that, like if you're having a cross functional team, the cherry picking is not accepted. And to avoid the cherry picking, like as a first step, I would like to do some pair programming with the senior managers. And I would like to ask, like, less the junior team members to pair up with the senior members to avoid those cherry pickings. Like, for example, in my team, there's one team member who will always left with testing task. Like at the end, they'll be giving all the testing tasks to him. Like as part of Scrum ideologies, this is not accepted, and there is no certain hierarchical structure in the Scrum team actually. But to avoid that, I ask the team member to get some trainings along with the senior team members, and make sure for the next time he's not getting the repetitive task. Sometimes I ask him to take some basic development tasks to start with. And that's how we make sure we create some cross functional team. Yeah.
okay, good. And this one is little different and interesting one. So
Yeah.
how do you build your trust with your team members? So if you are
Yeah.
new, you are already a new Scrum
Yeah.
Master. So what do you think about them?
Yeah, I mean, building that trust with the team is very difficult actually, and it's a very long process, I would say. And especially when you are from different culture and different uh, countries, we have different ideologies and different attitudes towards the work. It's very difficult to gain the trust. As part of my Scrum Master role, it's my responsibility to understand their ideologies, to understand the culture, work culture, like how they work and how they respond. uh, so firstly, it's me, I have to know their culture first. uh, Then to gain the trust, I need to have an one-on-one meetings every constantly. I need to have one-on-one meetings with my respective Scrum team, and then I need to make sure to fill the gap between the team actually, and uh, I make sure the entire team like are on the same page in all the events. So yeah, so I make sure that I am the go to go person whenever they're having difficulties, and whenever they're having impediments. So in that case, I have more one-on-one meetings with them. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, okay, good. And what is the recent impediment you resolved? So if you can just want to share from your past
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, I mean, the recent impediment, like I said, in the this cherry picking. So, like I said, there's one of the team member who always ended up getting the testing task. So in that case, I had to had an one-on-one discussion with him, like why he is taking only why he's testing, why he's taking only testing user stories, and I had to tell him that you have to be very cross-functional, and I make sure he's getting a proper training on development tasks, and I make sure he's getting the proper small tasks, development tasks for the next sprint, and yeah, that's the recent improvement. Yeah.
Okay. And what is your opinion about other stakeholders other than PO that they should involve in our daily stand-up? If yes, why? If no, why?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would like to tell you, involving the stakeholders in the daily stand-up is like it's not a good idea. I mean, daily stand-up meeting is strictly for Scrum team. In my case, like when you involve a Scrum other stakeholders in your daily stand-up meetings, that will become a status meeting. So that won't become a daily Scrum. So it will be very difficult to manage stakeholders when you are when they are when they're asking you a lot of status updates in the daily stand up. Yeah. So I would like to tell that it's not a good idea to involve in stakeholders in the daily stand up meeting. Yeah.
Okay. And as a Scrum Master, how you identify where you need improvement? Is there any area which you feel?
Yeah. So as a Scrum Master, it's my responsibilities actually to retrospect myself, like how I'm working, and how actually I'm helpful for the team. So I have my own checklist of items, like which I'll share with my team every sprint, and I make sure I get my feedback using the checklist. And other than that, I actually have one retrospective for myself, like for the entire retrospective is to give me feedback, and like what are the areas I need to improve, and what are the areas I performed well. So I get the feedback from the team in those retrospective items, in those special retrospectives for me. Yeah. So I'll do this actually. Yeah.
You have to share that checklist with us. Huh?
Yeah. Sure. Definitely. Yeah.
And guys, if anyone you watching this session video, once he will share, if you want that checklist, put your email ID. I will send to all of you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Just to help, like we are very curious to see like what sort of
Yeah.
checklist is going to help. Maybe
Yeah.
other people can also get benefit out of it. Okay. Good. And can you just mention some of the anti-patterns in retrospective you might have observed or which you have improved over a period of time?
Yes, I mean, there are certain anti-patterns which I observed in retrospective. Like, for example, there's like no documentation. So I always believe when you are on retrospective, there should be a proper documentation. So at the end, like when you are having a retrospective items for 2-3 hours, and when you look back into those 2-3 hours, there will be, if nothing is recorded, it will be a retrospective is waste of time. So I always suggest my team to record whatever happened, the action items uh, to be performed for till the next retrospective, and that's one of the anti-pattern I observed. And second, the psychological safety, uh, which I observed. Like there are some team members especially when you're working in the cross-functional or cross-cultural teams. There will be a lot of differences in between them. Like for example, in my scenario, there are some team development team in East European countries, and the team architecture is from Germany. So in that case, they have this cultural differences. They feel that their English is not up to the mark, and they can't communicate with the architectures. So in that case, as Scrum Master, I need to step up. What I need to fill that gap between those architectures and those developers. So that make sure there should be a psychological safety, and make sure I need to give them courage. Like it's okay to make mistakes. Like we do mistakes as a team, and we correct them as a team. So I make sure the psychological safety is implemented. Like this is also one of the anti-pattern I observed, like psychological safety. So I think these are the two top anti-patterns I observed with my little experience. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. So the next one is like, what are the few matrices or reports which you can use to track or monitor or to measure your team performance? Or is it a good idea to measure your team performance?
Yeah. Like I said, as in the Scrum team or Agile teams, like it's not good idea to measure individual performances. It's always better to measure in the team performance. Like we fail as a team or like we pass as a team. So it's always like when you're doing an individual performance also, sometimes I get this question, like how do you, like one of my manager asked me, like how do you measure this, like this certain x resource, like how do you measure his performances? Like I always wanted to tell him, like it's always good to measure his performance towards the team, like how he's contributing to the team, and like how he's working towards the product goal, not like his personal goals. Like I said, like we have like certain reports, like standard reports, like sprint burn down and burn up charts. These are the basic things, and rest everything is visible in the Jira boards or Microsoft Azure boards. Like they won't use any specific metric reports to measure the team performances. Like according to me, they should not be individual performances metrics in Scrum team. They should be always in team performance metrics. Like yeah.
Okay, good. So, so let's say you are going to join some new team, let's say our team. So what are the few important thing or the very first thing which you want to implement with your current team when you
Yeah.
join any new team? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I wanted to join the new team, like I always take I always take my feedback from the current team, like what exactly where I excelled and where I need to perform well. So when I go to the next team, because I know my strengths and weaknesses, like I always want implement my strengths into the other team. Like I said, like I always wanted to maintain my Scrum ceremonies within the time box. So that's the first thing I want to implement when I go to the next team. So I make sure all the Scrum ceremonies are the time boxed, and like I said in the previous question, like psychological safety, I I make sure I filling the gap between the team members, and make sure everyone is on the same page, working towards the same product goal or sprint goal. Yeah.
Okay. And what is the first thing which you do after meeting your new team?
Yeah. So I mean, as soon as I go into the new team, like I make sure I make some time to interact with the team, and I actually wanted to clearly observe. I mean, for the first initial one sprint or two sprints, I don't want to involve in their work. Like I just wanted to sit back and observe, like how they are working and how is their working style, and what is their attitude towards the work. Is there any uh, imposter in between them? Like is there any differences in between the working between them? So I just wanted to observe, and slowly, and after one or two sprint, I slowly start implementing whatever I observe. I take notes and slowly start implementing each item slowly. Like I said, any quick change is also not good for the team. Like we need to make sure it should be very slow, and it should be it should be well versed communicated with other teams, like how we are going to implement, taking the feedback from the product owner, and slowly implementing the changes. Yeah.
Okay, good. And what are the few things which we can do as a Scrum Master to motivate our team?
Yeah. So I mean, motivation is actually very important in the Scrum teams. Like not only Scrum teams, it's very important for any resource to work upon, to give the he to gives 100% towards the goal. So as a Scrum Master, it's my responsibility to motivate him. Like whenever the team is in low and whenever the team is performing bad, so it's my responsibility to motivate him. So as per my experience, with my little experience, I would say rewards and awards are the first thing. So rewarding and awarding, I would say, is the best option for the team to motivate, and giving the frequent feedback to the team members, and getting their feedback, and implementing their feedback gives them motivation also sometimes. So interaction and giving the feedback to the stakeholders, and arranging the meetings with the stakeholders, some party sessions, like some sessions, some therapy sessions, something like that. Yeah, it will actually motivate the team. Yeah.
Okay, good, good. And what is this DoD definition of done? And can you just tell us about top 3 DoD checklist item from your current team?
Yeah. So see, the DOD is nothing but like, it's like a definition of done. It's like a list of checklist items which can be considered as an to push into the to push into the increment actually. So for example, top 3, you'd say top 3 DOD items from my project is like, for the first one will be having the acceptance criteria, which has been checked by the product owner. This will be the top priority item. The second one will be code review, and code review done, and followed. The code has to be followed guidelines, given guidelines, and the other, I would say, the other definition of done. Oh, I couldn't remember any other thing. Yeah. So,
That's okay. That's perfectly
yeah.
okay. No problem.
Yeah.
And if you want to let us one thing which is not in your resume, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things. Firstly, I would like to say this: I'm a professional photographer also. So, which is not part of my resume. So I just wanted to tell you that I'm a professional photographer. So we can make some photography sessions also, along with the. Sometimes we use this in retrospective item. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. And if you have to tell me about yourself in one word, what would it be?
Yeah, one quality I would say you can as
So
in
you
I
have to
can have.
describe yourself in one word.
Okay. I mean, I'm an energetic guy, you can say.
Okay.
So why I'm telling energetic is like, since I'm in totally very young and I'm in beginning of my career, so I would like to. I mean, I'm very energetic towards, like, whatever I'm doing, I'll do with my complete energy, and sometimes that when goes wrong also. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. And yeah, this is the last one. So if you had to remove one ceremony or one event from your all the standard events, so Scrum events, so what would it be and why?
Oh, so I mean, that's a tricky question. As a Scrum Master, all the Scrum ceremonies are important for me. And if you ask me to remove some certain ceremony, I would say thank you. I don't want to remove any Scrum ceremony, because all these Scrum ceremonies are very important, and they have their respective importance in a Scrum team. Yeah, so I won't remove any Scrum ceremonies from my current organization team. Yeah.
Okay, Krishna, I think we are done with all the questions, and thank you again one more time. And definitely we are going to have one more session with you specifically only for people who want to come to Germany or Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you can share your all the steps which you have taken how you enroll yourself in the master programs,
Yeah.
and your journey toward getting your first job as a
Yeah.
Scrum Master, how you've done your internship. So a lot of things, guys, which we are going to discuss in our next session.
Yeah.
So just wait for that. And thanks one more time, Krishna, for your time.
Thanks, Sunan. Thank you for all your help. And like, I would like to follow your career talks very closely, because it's the beginning of my career. It's also helpful for me. So like I
And
said,
definitely
I'm
this session is going to help other people as well. So yeah, it's just a journey. I mean, it's an ongoing journey. So thank you as well, Krishna, one more time.
yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sunan. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you.